Welcome to the best YouTube channel ever. My chest just flexed when I said that. ZugZwang. Okay, it's in German. Okay. In English, they pronounce it ZugZwang. Okay. But in the German pronunciation, it's Zug, and the W and the Zwang is actually pronounced with the V. So ZugZwang. I wanted to synthesize the information with a line from chapter 3 in The Art of War, line number 2. Hence, to fight and conquer in all your battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. How do you break someone's resistance without fighting them? That is true power, folks. I was in personal training, okay? I was in personal training for about 8 years. 8 to 9 years, okay? But then COVID came. COVID came and slapped me in the face. In the world, I got a big girl job. Started working as a trainer professionally, right? I knew I wasn't going to stay in it. I knew eventually I was going to get out. I was going to have my own thing at some point. I was going to do whatever. I was going to travel. I was going to meet, my knight in shining armor. And it doesn't matter what the decision was, because whatever decision I made, it was going to put me in a worse situation. If I left personal training, I wasn't going to make any money. If I stayed in personal training, I would have continued to not like it. You see, you think you have everything planned out, but then life comes and it's like, nope, that's not what's going to happen right now. What's going to happen right now is you're going to be in a really bad situation, and it's only going to get worse. Okay, but what do? Okay, this is what I've learned. Where it doesn't matter the choice I made. I didn't have a choice not to make a choice. I had to do something. Because if I did nothing, I would make zero money. If I did something, I would still be in a position where I wasn't making much, but I was okay, and I just didn't really like it. I was stuck in a skill set of just teaching people how to work out. Now, there's something wrong with teaching people how to work out. Being a personal trainer can be a wonderful thing. You take a step back and you visualize where you want to go. You envision. You have to feel it. Because if you don't feel it, then it won't exist. Because you have to feel something before it happens. I'll give you an example. You ever ask a girl or a guy out, you're like, and you lick your lips, and you're like, I want to taste her skin. Okay, I typically do. You subconsciously start to dream about her. You start to see a vision. You're like, I can see myself marrying this woman. You start to envision. You start to dream. Right? And that's what you have to do. When you're stuck, you have to pray, you have to meditate, you have to write, take a journal. You see all this writing? I write all the time. Because what you write down comes true. Everything I've written down has come true. You just sit with how you feel, collect how you feel, control how you feel, and then put your energy towards what you actually want. Don't put your energy towards what actually is happening, because that's the tricky part. People put their energy in the reality and they don't put it in the 4D, or the 4D, because this is the 3D. Okay, you see my biceps, you see my triceps, you see my chest, you see my huge shoulder muscles. Okay, this is all 3D. I'm a 3-dimensional creature. But then you have something that's called the 4D. It's the 4 dimension. It's the world of manifestation. It's the world where you can attract, just like Yeshua did. You know Yeshua? It's the Hebrew name for Jesus. Sometimes you are twisted with these emotions and these feelings, and you just can't seem to wrap your head, and you just simply don't know what to do. Let me tell you what you don't want to do when you don't know what to do. You don't want to not do anything. Because when you don't do it, I learned this the hard way. When you don't do anything, you actually make things worse, believe it or not. Okay? So even if you make a bad decision, at least you made a decision and you learn something for the future. But see, if you didn't make a decision, then you won't know for the next time. And maybe next time you're faced with something even more difficult. Had you made a decision in the past, you probably would have been more prepared, even if that decision was a bad one. You don't know what to do. You're put in a situation where it doesn't matter what choice you're going to make. You're still doomed. That's okay. Just say, okay. Put your hands together. Say, okay, good. Make a decision and then figure it out from there. Okay? Because any decision that you make, any choice you make will always have a consequence. The question is, what are you willing to tolerate? Down to what are you willing to tolerate? Are you willing to tolerate your job? Are you willing to tolerate that you only make $200 per week? Are you willing to tolerate your dog? Are you willing to tolerate the pain and the discomfort that comes with pumping your 35-inch biceps to 40 inches? The answer is no. Then, well, you're not going to get you to your goal. That's the consequence. But if you can find a way around that and tolerate it and deal with it, deal with the fact that you're going to have to go through the storm regardless. And whatever you do is going to put you in a worse situation. Now, when it comes to fitness, that's kind of not really relevant. But although I guess you kind of can say it is, because once you start working out, you make a decision, it's still going to put you in a bad situation. Because let me explain why. You make your decision that you want to work out. You want to grow your chest muscle. You want to grow your legs. You want to grow your glutes. You want to grow anything. Once you start working out, now you're going to have to get into what's called maintenance mode. And now you're going to have to continuously buy food in order to sustain your physique. And that takes resources, aka money. Okay? And if you're not in a position where you can afford to sustain yourself, like physically, then, well, that decision that you made technically was a bad one. Because now you're spending more than you're willing to spend on a physique that you thought you wanted, but you ended up finding out that you didn't really want. Okay, I really liked that word, ZugZwang, that a player is forced to make a move that will weaken their position. Now, I wouldn't say that working out is going to make you weaker. It's only going to make you stronger. However, working out does come with its consequences. It comes with sacrificing relationships sometimes. Sometimes you're going to lose some friends, which perhaps can weaken your social status. Physique, you might have huge biceps and huge traps and huge lats. But at what cost? In life, you always have to pay a price. You have a new job, you're going to have to pay a price to go to this job. Maybe it costs you $5.50 to drive there. Maybe you met a new partner, right? What's the price that you're willing to pay to get to them, to keep them, to sustain them, or keep them, one and the same, and to make them happy so that they stick around for the rest of your life if you choose to marry them, okay? There's always a price you pay, okay? And everybody has a different price, okay? That friend that is your potential, buddy, your best friend, your best girlfriend, or your best guy friend, there's a price that you have to pay, okay? And they get to decide what the price is. A lot of different videos on YouTube about how to make difficult decisions, or just how to make decisions, because how to make decisions, it's an important skill, I think. Life is a series of decisions. How you make your money, who you marry, whether or not you have an animal, or you have a cat, you have a dog, where do you live, what's your lifestyle like, do you drink, do you smoke? All of these decisions mold you and they shape your life. And when you're put in a position where it doesn't matter what choice you make, you have to make a decision. And regardless of this decision that you make, you're only going to get in a worse situation. That's a very difficult spot to navigate. Again, I've been in that when I was trying to kind of get out of personal training, and I was, fighting my way. And I knew that it doesn't matter what choice I made, I knew that I was still going to be in a bad position. I felt like it would weaken me. But this is the thing I also learned, is that sometimes it may weaken you in the short term. It actually will strengthen you in the long term. Because when you learn and you go through really difficult things, you will always learn from that mistake. Okay, so that's why I always say I always win, because even when I quote unquote don't win, I still learned, so therefore I still won.